welcome, guys. My name is Darnell. Many of you guys, ooh, we got folks coming in. Uh, Rachel, I'm gonna have you kind of like man the admitting and the admitting part or whatever. You know,
Okay.
so so when someone's in the waiting room or whatnot, just bring them in. But hey, guys, welcome. Again, my name is Darnell Wilson. I am the um, I am the coach from of the Impact Movement at Kent State University and also at Cleveland State. We affectionately call ourselves Neo Impact, which stands for Northeast Ohio, because all the chapters that I oversee are in the Northeastern Ohio, northeastern part of the state of Ohio. So there's only two of them right now, but but yeah, I've been volunteering with Impact for the last this is my 10th year doing it in the fall. It's my 10th year. I work with Tony when he's back at OU. We have a big heart on connecting and planning with other campuses throughout the Midwest region. I understand many of you guys are from the South, so um, so hopefully, my ideal dream, pre Corona, because Corona, she trash sometimes, but my ideal dream is to have a ILI in person, that goes that goes over like about 2 weeks in person, just so you can get all this education, all this training you're getting. It'd be great if you actually got it in a in person, like got a chance to process with each other, and actually also process all the truth that you're learning with the Lord. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna open up and pray, and we're gonna talk about, and I'm gonna kind of give you guys a forecast of where we're going. Okay, uh, again, because I can't see anybody, I really would love for someone to volunteer and pray.
Heavenly Father, we come before you in Jesus' name
Shut up,
with
Honda. Yes.
thanksgiving in our hearts for what you've done over the last couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months. We say thank you. Thank you for Darnell's availability, his experience, your work in his life, prepared him to lead this session, not just through the notes and information, but through life and ministry in Northeast Ohio. Thank you for all of us who are connected, and thank you for giving us great connections over this weekend, and we trust that you do the same. Give him the words to say, and lead him in a way that honors and glorifies you, and so that we, your people, will extend your kingdom um, uh, through the impact movement in a way that we are good stewards and give a good record to you. And look forward to leaders being built up through this time. We thank you now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Praise God. All right, guys. So our time today we're going to talk about semester planning. Our goal is to is kind of well, my hope is that we can actually give you guys the rhythms that we of planning of the semesters. That we call it, sometimes we call these seasons. Just like your year and your lives are governed by seasons, so is the school year governed by seasons as well. Like, so we have summer, spring, winter, fall. I'm a fall person. Not because of pumpkin spice lattes, but just because I enjoy. I'm a fall winter person. I love snow. I love when things kind of die and and get kind of like changing colors, and because I know that with death, life always comes out of it. So I really love fall. But I think that one of the things that we, when we're leading our campus ministries, that we have to realize is that God has foreordained or preset our lives to be running into seasons or rhythms, rhythmic patterns. So if you notice, everything, most things that operate in your life is based on a rhythm. Look at your heart; it beats to a rhythm. When you look at your look how you dance. When you dance, you got to dance on rhythm. You actually have sleep rhythms, or they call them circadian rhythms. Everything seasons. We even have seasons that are rhythmic. Just like there are rhythms and seasons. I mean, rhythms and seasons of life, and how you are governed. There's rhythms of and seasons of ministry that you and I must recognize if we're going to be successful and healthy, and actually have our movements who are established continue to grow and actually have impact on not just on our campus, but in our community, and ultimately in the world. And so and this is our, like the rhythmic stuff. Again, you see that laid out in the book of Genesis, where in the first two chapters, you see how God created something, and then he said it was good. Then he created something else, and then he said it was good. And he created something else, and he said it was good. He had a rhythmic thing that he set up in place, and I believe that that's how the world in our lives, uh, and even to everything that we do is based on that. So to the degree that you can recognize the rhythms, uh, dictates to the degree that you'll be successful in those. And one of those things is with semester planning. Yay! Woo, 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 woo. So within that, we're going to look at the seasons that we have for semester planning. We call what could be affectionately called seasons of ministry. You have four generic seasons. You have freshman outreach. Season 2 is impact events. Season 3, like how you can engage your community, and season 4 is planning. And we're gonna kind of address activities that can be done within those seasons, and things to consider as you're planning, as you're thinking through how to effectively reach your campus. Now, with COVID being present, things can change and things can get a little funky. So we believe that it's time for us to be creative, and engaging, and maybe even out of the box when it comes to how we're going to, operate in each season accordingly. Okay. So just so we're gonna head to the first season. Season 1 is fresh out. I call it fresh out, or we call it freshman outreach. In the upper left hand corner, you see the different. You see the time frame is usually between starting August and September. So you guys, just out of curiosity, before we even go into that, has anyone, have you guys heard from your university about what your plan is when it comes to coming back on campus? Has anyone heard from them? And then if you have, what is the plan? Is everyone going to say, is it going to be virtual, or is it going to be in person? Or how are you guys planning? How is your university handling uh, the beginning of the year, the fall semester?
We have at NC State and several North Carolina schools, they have bumped up the start date, and then they've eliminated like a fall break, and they're going to end classes right before Thanksgiving. So it's going to be, the students won't leave and come back during the semester, but they haven't made a final word on whether there'll be on-campus classes or not.
Wow. Okay. Thanks, County. How about y'all in Texas? What I know we had some people from Rice and things of that nature. How about people on campus? I mean, down in Texas, but and also I believe Cuse was in here as well.
I'll go. I'll go. I know for my school in particular, we'll be having hybrid classes. Like, so we'll still be on campus, but some people might be taking classes online, and some people might be going to class. This depends on the class size, other variables that they're taking into consideration. And also similar to what Mr. Tony was saying, that after Thanksgiving, then it's going to be fully online. So we'll have hybrid classes till Thanksgiving, and after Thanksgiving break, we'll be doing our own thing. We'll have to finish off online, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What school was that again?
The University of Texas at Austin.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
UT.
UT. Yeah.
Hook 'em horns. Yeah. All right. Who was next?
Syracuse, we're kind of doing a similar thing. We're all students are going back, and we're gonna have in-person classes with the big lectures are going online, but we're starting classes early, and after Thanksgiving, we'll have it'll be fully online. As far as student orgs and ministries, they haven't told us yet about if we're gonna be able to be online, and they won't really let us like book meeting rooms yet because they're still figuring it out. That's what we know so far.
Okay, good. Yeah, same thing at Kent State. That's kind of how it's happening. You know, they're taking an approach that Tony had laid out, and a lot of you guys are saying there will be a hybrid mix of people doing virtual classes. You know, so they're letting people come back on campus, but some of the large introductory classes are actually going to be it's going to be a mix of some virtual and some in person. You know, which can really affect our seasons of ministry or how we actually operate effectively doing God's work while we're on campus. And so even after school, after that they're letting fall break at Kent, and then they're actually opening, after Thanksgiving break, the students aren't coming back on campus, and they won't be back into the spring sometime. So that all those things can change how we operate within each season, because even though the seasons do not change, what we operate and how we approach them do. Okay, so I'm going to lay out some idea. These are some fundamental ground rules that can help you be effective in ministering, and operating within that space. But one of the biggest things is you guys being open and being led by the Spirit when it comes to reaching and leading and serving faithfully within the movement that God has placed you guys over. All right. So on the left hand side, you see that our time frame is August through September. Season one is all about the freshmen, all about the freshmen. We have a saying that says, "Give me freshmen or give me death." So we do everything what we can to get freshmen. So we have certain within the first season. It's freshman fresh out or freshman outreach. We're looking. We have clearly defined activities. We're trying to do evangelism and follow up. That's what F/U stands for. We're trying. We're doing our best to have gospel appointments or meeting with people doing one-on-ones or having events where people can come together and get a chance to learn about the movement, learn about who we are, encouraging them to know that we're not a church, but we're a movement. We're a parachurch. We walk alongside the church, the local body, so that people can know who and what Impact is all about. So a lot of our activities are engaged with getting the word out. So yeah, we're doing org fairs, slash, like we do a massive blast off org fair, where all the freshmen come. At most universities they have this, and our goal is to come in and you want to have as many questionnaires out, introductory questionnaires that you can hand out to people, and just so that they can fill out, and you want to try to connect with them, being socially distanced responsible. So our org fair, and then so we have evangelism day, with follow up. Then we find out whatever org fairs they have out there. We want to make sure the Impact is at every org fair if you guys are having them in person. And then as you're getting contact cards, we want to make sure that we do evangelism and follow up with those contact cards. One of the biggest things that you can do, within the org fair is to have, once you get, let's say you get 50 or 100 contact cards, your goal should be in this, first couple months is to follow up with people ASAP. You're calling them within 2 days, ideally, so that you can set up one-on-ones, or you can set up some kind of intro or invitation out so that they can learn about what Impact is. Follow up with that org fair. We typically have a social event. Now again, if you're having an org fair and you have 150 people lined up, and like you may not have the capacity or the bandwidth to reach out to and have one-on-ones with all 150 people. One thing I would suggest to you do is to create have a social event already preset so that you can invite people out to it. You know, so we typically do a we typically do a ice cream social or a bowling party if you have a bowling alley on campus. Okay, some of you bigger schools have those cool amenities, and within, so we want to make sure that if we have, if we're getting people to fill out contact cards, we have something to invite them to. Because you may not meet up people one on one, but have a social event set up in the first couple weeks, in the first week or two. We typically have something set up the first week, and then and when people come out, we do a 2 minute, we do a small minute spiel about what impact is, and then we start ideally new Bible studies or small groups in the first 2 weeks, so that we can, when people can come, where they will come to and hear the gospel clearly laid out. Okay. Some things within this first season of ministry is your budget. You got to, if you're not aware of it, this is a student. We do a lot of fundraisers on campus. Okay, so do you have the money to do these to do these social events? Do you have enough money for T-shirts and Bibles, or even things of that? Anything that is going to be needed, you're going to need to spend money for. Do you have, what is your budget looking like right now? The next thing I said is the maturity of the movement. Like, do you have the numbers or the strength to train up not just your leadership team or your servant team, but do you have the people who are faithful enough to actually invest in the movement to where you can delegate and share responsibility with following up on all the contact cards? If you only have 2 or 3 people on your team, but you have 12 people come to the movement, here, invite people in to help follow up. Train them and walk them through follow up, so that they can actually call people and join in this awesome experience of meeting freshmen or new transfers, and getting them. Uh, yeah, I probably saw that little text coming in, but getting them involved in our movement. Okay, that was the most random thing. Yeah, so okay, even that right there, that you saw that text message says Impact ILI, right? That was me. I'm raising money for our ILI locally. That was one of our potential donors, who asked me this morning, well, Darnell, who do I give money to? Because I want to give. I'm like, well, our budget's looking kind of slim now, so and I told her what our need was, and we really need a lot of Bibles. We need a couple boxes of Bibles. And she said, well, I can't really afford the Bible. She said, how much you need? I said, well, I need a couple $100. Give me $500. And that was a crazy ask for a former student. But what ended up happening is that she couldn't do the 500, but she said she'll give it another amount. She didn't tell me the amount. She just told me she could do it. Anyway, but know your budget. Ask people. Know the maturity of your movement. And look, y'all, get freshmen. Just know this: the campus ministry will die out in less than 4 years. 4 to 5 years if you don't get freshmen. That's how most churches are. If you don't always be thinking to replace yourself, your ministry and your campus will die out. Okay. I've seen many in my 10 years of doing this. I've seen many impact chapters spring up and fizzle out because people have failed to get the freshmen. So give me freshmen or give me death. All right. When I say death, that means death to the movement. The movement will die out. Okay. And last thing I want you to do is celebrate, y'all. Look, doing these org fairs, this is a rat race. This is crazy. Y'all, one thing you want to do with your team is that after we've done all the follow-up and we've gotten through all of our contact cards and we've reached out to everybody, y'all sit down and celebrate, enjoy, get a meal together, and just be happy with one another. Because one thing that Christians aren't known for, which I don't understand, is that we aren't known for celebration. And people need to celebrate when you've worked your butt off with with something like this, because this is a pretty big task, and you work your butt off, and people want to feel like they that they're appreciated. So find a way to celebrate. It could be playing marbles or something. I don't know what you guys do to celebrate, what young people do anymore, but find a way to celebrate. Okay, guys. Just a couple of things I want you guys to consider during the season one, fresh out. Start weekly prayer, because you have to operate out of the overflow. So like you can't give people something that you don't have, you know. And so if you're doing the season of ministry, you need to make sure the prayer is crazy, that you're leading from your knees, is what we say, that you're leading from your knees, that you're praying on a consistent basis, and not just individually but corporately. Maybe you can call on the phone. Some of our students on their own, they establish a prayer time every Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. Some of them do. I don't do that, but some of our student leaders do, because that's what, you know, they understand the importance of prayer. Also, you're trying to start community building events. Oh, okay. We have questions. All right, go ahead, Tony. By the way, people can see if you're texting me, they can see right. Go ahead, Tony.
Oh, I was just you can send this later. I didn't know if you could send us a sample of the contact card that you use for your.
Oh yeah, sure. Would you guys like? Would anyone like? Yeah, I can send my contact card for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's easy enough to put a link, like if it's a Google Doc, you know, put a link in the chat or.
Yeah, ours is a Google Doc. I can definitely send that out. If you guys, yeah, our contact card is pretty straightforward. I should have brought that in here, I guess, but I can actually pull it up if you guys are interested. But well, this is not working like I wanted to. There we go. All right, there we go. But yeah, I'll bring that up. Okay, thank you. I'll make sure I do that. All right. Anything else? Any other questions before I move on? Okay. You'll see the word community building events. Make sure that you guys are doing stuff that are fun, that are enjoyable. Have fun with each other. Yes, we're doing life on mission, and when I say mission, I mean you know, our whole life should be revolved around reaching out to people and being intentional with sharing our faith with those who don't know Him. You know, so when I say when I, you know, so like a lot of times, you know, we have on our campus a mindset of called be where they are. Be where they are. You know, like sometimes people think within the Christian culture that if you build it, they'll come. You know, meaning this: if I just start an impact chapter, people gonna come here. You know, if I just have good Christian music, people gonna come. You know, and what I'm learning over the years, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if that's actually working like we think it is anymore. You know, within our culture, you know, building it, you know, so people will come. That number one, that doesn't align with the biblical mandate of going and taking the gospel out to every nation, you know, in the world. You know, but also I think we're in a post-Christian world. You know, whereas yes, 20, 30 years ago, if you built a nice, you know, if you built the Six Flags of Jesus, or you had really cool like lights and music and stuff like that, that would draw some people. And in some places it's still like that in the biblical in the Bible Belt, but in Ohio it's not like that. We live in a post-Christian world up here, and people are not interested in hearing about Jesus. They're not interested in really coming to Jesus events. So I encourage you to find out where the people are, and you want to figure out, how can I take the gospel to people who would never come to Impact, or how can I partner with people who would never, you know, like the Divine Nine. You know, maybe I could reach out to some of them and say, hey, we would love to, you know, have some people, and see if you guys would be interested in starting a Bible study with us. You know, we'll go to them and ask them that, and most of them have said no. But recently, we had the Alphas and the Sigmas say agree to have a Bible study with us. It was crazy, and now we have a Bible study just because we went to them and asked them, and we developed a relationship with them. With that, I'll open up to questions. You know, so yeah, you know, like be considerate. You know, be willing to do something that you feel is not conventional. Rachel, any questions about that? Any questions y'all got about that? So I can give y'all, you know, some things that you can do during this, that you could consider when you're planning your seasons of ministry. Cool. All right. So I have the wrong scripture up there. It's actually Colossians 4:2-6. All right. So it's actually, all right. That's, huh?
Darnell, can you share some things that you've done events with for freshmen outreach?
Yes, absolutely. I love it. All right. So some of the events that we've done for freshman outreach, again, we often do we have since we have a bowling alley on campus, we'll actually have um, we'll host a bowling party for for all the campus. But when freshmen come, freshmen bowl for free. So a lot of our student leaders, throughout the summer, we have 12 leaders on our team, and everyone is required, we ask every one of our student leaders to who's working through the summer to give to our movement. So they all give about, let's say, $100 a summer or something like that. Which is $1,200. Which is not nothing it's a decent amount of money, but all the money that our student leaders actually raise throughout the summer, we use that to fund our freshman outreach. So we want to remove any barrier that would prevent a freshman from coming out to our movement. So if it costs money, we try our best to pay for it. So like bowling, freshmen, it costs them, I think, $6 to bowl. So if we have 50 freshmen come out, that's a decent amount of money. That's $300 right there. Wait, 5 times 6 is what, 40? All right, wait, is that 40? Yeah, 40. Yeah, 30. I don't know. Anyway, but that's $300. But our student leaders will pay for that, so that it's not coming out of our impact net, our budget that we've raised. But that's just our students paying for it. And what I find, so we'll do a freshman, we'll do a bowling party, we'll do a ice cream social in the beginning. We do something that people love. It's called Step Out. We have so we do a line dancing event every year. Where we just have Christian music, and it's literally, it's one of our biggest events. It was one of them. We'll have, it'll be Friday night, and we have a lot of freshmen come out to that because they're like, "Well, line dancing, really?" It's called Step It Up. That's what it is. Step it up. And these were just our students who came up with these ideas. And so, because I was like, hey, we need to have community building events, we need to have fun events, and they said, yes, they do a Step It Up event. They do we do the, so like, even a Step It Up event, they pay for it. Our student leaders pay for it. Again, it's not that they have a lot of money, but that Step It Up event, even though we had 150 people come out last year, it cost them a total of $80. Why? Because people bring their own speakers, and people start making dishes and food, or they get donations from the camp, from other places around the university. And so that was one of our big events. Okay, so and like I said, we do this, we do pretty much the same ones almost every year. So ice cream social, bowling party, the Step It Up event, and then one of the biggest things that we did was called the Remedy. Now this one was, this took a lot more planning, so you wouldn't be able to do it this year. But the Remedy was a concert that we would sponsor every year, that was really open to all, campus, the whole campus. But we would have we would connect with our, not just crew, but because our chapter, we actually doesn't work with our crew university, our crew campus much, but we work with navigators. We work with other student Christian organizations on campus, like Athletes in Action and uh, well, I'm not. Most of the ones I'm going to name are local, like H2O Church, or people who are on the university who are targeted towards reaching college students. We'll work with them, and we'll bring their bands, and because we don't have a band, because we just don't. But we'll have a revival of sorts, where people will come together, and all these other churches, specifically places who have money, they'll come and give resources, and we'll have like a concert of sorts, and it would just be targeted towards the whole campus. And we would get, we would have people come in. I think the most we had was, I think, 2,000 people come out one year. And we would use that as as an opportunity to express our Christian faith through different artistic expressions, to share with the campus that the remedy to the world's problems is a relationship with Jesus. And our campus, what our chapter would do, we would bring, maybe we didn't have the music, but our students would do some really cool things, such as they'll make skits. They did skit. They found skits on the internet, and then our chapter did a skit, and it usually was the most powerful event of the evening. So those are some of the things we did. Okay.
And what have you guys have you thought about what you're going to do virtually for freshmen this year? Have you given it any thought?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, we still have our org fair that we're gonna do. We are still doing so our org fair is still gonna happen. Why is this not working like I wanted to work? But like so Kent is still gonna do a outdoor org fair, so we're gonna be part of that. um but we are, we won't, we know that we cannot have more than 25 people in the room at our campus, so we're gonna lean heavily on small groups this year, when it comes to like one of our seasons of ministries, like, but reaching out to freshmen, we're still in the planning phases of that. Some of the unique things we're trying to do is we have something called freshman move in. So freshmen are moving in. They have a day that all freshmen move in, and we signed up for that to help them move in, so that we're gonna have our impact flyers and stuff like that, and share with them about our movement, so that we can connect with them in that kind of capacity. So we're just doing whatever we can to be where they are. So if freshmen are going to be in a place, we'll find ourselves to be there too.
Thank you.
I don't know. Did that? All right.
Yeah.
So and if I talk really fast, just kind of ignore, just pray for me, y'all. So I do want to get to the scripture. It's actually Colossians chapter 4, verses 2-6. Okay. This is where I want to encourage you guys, starting now, like praying. The scripture says, devote yourselves to prayer. This is Colossians 4, chapter 4, verses 2-6. I had a little dyslexia this morning. So it says, devote yourself to prayer, stay alert in it with thanksgiving. At the same time, pray for us also, that God may open a door to us for the word, to speak the mystery of Christ, for which I am in chains. This is Paul speaking. So that I may make it known as I should. Act wisely towards outsiders, making the most of your time. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you should answer each person. Look, Paul says in verse 2, devote yourselves to prayer. Stay alert in it with thanksgiving. God, one of the things I really want you guys to do is pray. And something else that, and God will give you wisdom on how to engage some people, especially freshmen. Also, one thing that we're doing this year that's unique, and I don't know if you guys have the bandwidth on your chapter, is that we actually are, because many of us are in uncertain times. We don't know what's going on. Everything's kind of, the world is upside down. One thing that we're doing is that we've reached out to all the campus organizations that are Christian, and we're actually having a Zoom meeting with them in 2 weeks, so that we can strategize on, strategize on what can we do to reach the campus more effectively, not as separate organizations, but just trying to, hear what their strategies are, so that maybe some things that they're doing I can do, or some things that we're thinking about doing that they could do, and we're trying to just come to connect as a body of believers who have the unified purpose of reaching freshmen and now the lost on our campus. And we're going to do what the bees do. We're going to cross pollinate, share information, and talk, and just get some ideas. And I'm believing that God will give us some wisdom into doing that. Okay. So, any questions about that before I move to my next slide? Cool. Anything, Rachel?
Oh, no.
Okie. All right, season 2 is starts around late September to January. Just so you guys are aware, each one of our seasons usually ends or has a milestone that we're reaching to, where we're headed towards this thing. And our second, our season 2 happens probably in the the second 6 weeks. So these are, each semester is typically about 15 weeks. So, and each season lasts 6 weeks roughly. 6 weeks in the fall, 6 in the early fall, then 6 weeks in the late fall, then 6 weeks in the spring, and then 6 weeks in late spring, early summer. So late September, like the milestone of our first season should always end in like fall retreat. is our goal. We're trying to get people signed up for fall retreat. So season 2, the very beginning of season 2 should be fall retreat. You guys should be hitting people with fall retreat for sure. So like I would encourage you guys to be mindful of when fall retreat is, the dates, if you guys have it, the price, the cost, things of that nature. We're also wrapping up, to this, our second milestone, the big milestone will be the conference. This is a conference year. So even if we do it virtually or in person, our goal is to be recruiting people to our national conference. I started recruiting, I kid you not, in right around when fall retreat is over. We start doing hitting hard for conference, and we started doing teasers in the beginning because it happens every 2 years. And so one thing that we do for conferences, if you've had people have been there on your campus for who were at campus conference last time, have them do testimonies, share their story. Again, these are our milestones. The end of the beginning of season 2 should be fall retreat, and then like our next milestone is going to be the national conference. Again, third point down is our large group meetings. That's when we start typically having our large group meetings pretty early on, but large groups are going to look very different now. Again, we have about 100 students coming out every week, 150 students coming out every week, and so we're maxed out at 25, on our campus. And so one thing that we're trying to do, differently, is that we may not be able to get together as a large group, so we have to come to it with a different angle. One thing that we're trying to do is figure out, well, maybe if we, instead of doing one large mass meeting, maybe we can have several smaller group mass meetings throughout the week. So we're going to have probably 3 of them throughout the week: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday and Thursday. We're still trying to figure that out, so that we can figure out a way that we can get everyone together safely, but also collectively, because we need each other. Like, we need it. And then we have something that we call gigs, or our small group Bible studies that we do throughout the week. We're gonna still do those, but you guys lead as students. You guys lead this thing. You guys keep this thing. You're the lifeblood of this. And so we got to make sure that you guys are, safe. But also, if you aren't doing a large group, we want to make sure that you guys are figuring out how can we do a small group effectively. Maybe we may not have the big speaker, the preacher coming in, but maybe we just have to make sure our small groups are really engaging and really fun and enjoyable. And we got to make sure that we are super intentional with our students. I do have one question to you guys, right? And I need some participation on this one. This is a big question that I ask my students every year. What do you guys have within your movement that no one else has on your campus? So, and I think that question is pretty clear, but I say it again. But what do you have on your within your movement that no one else on campus has? Oh, I'm not gonna move on until someone says something. So someone got to talk, just so you know. And I'm okay with silence.
I would just say, to put it simply, like Jesus, like everybody has community, but not everybody has biblical community. So like people who will pray for you, people who will bear your burdens, people who will labor with you. Like you can find community anywhere, but you won't find anybody who will want to pray for you and care about your well-being, care about your eternal well-being. So
Do you have a crew on your campus?
yes.
Well, so you do have, so we do have that on your campus. So
Black community though, people who are black. You don't have a black Christian organization on your campus. You may have a church, but not an organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. People of color for sure. But even more specifically, and that's a good observation. We usually get that too, but we have other Black organizations on our campus who are Christ based and biblical. But one of the things that makes your campus different and unique is that they have you. You're there, and you aren't anywhere else but where you are in this movement. And so because you're there, you're unique. And so you as the movement leader is super important and strategic and vital to the health and the well-being of your chapter. And so I think sometimes our students, yeah, that's obvious, but no, that's, you think it's obvious, but it's not. Like, you are unique, and God has blessed you to be part of this movement. So uh, take this serious. Like people will come. They're not coming specifically always just for the word alone. Sometimes they'll come because you talk to them, because you made them feel seen. Because you actually took time to say, "Wow, how are you?" And you look them in the eye, or you followed up with them. Like no one, very few people are doing that, and very few people can do it with the swag that y'all do it with. And when I say swag, you got the Holy Ghost. You got Him living inside of you. And so I don't want you guys to to overlook that piece, that people will come truly because you made a connection with them. And sometimes they'll come because of you more than they'll come because of God. And then eventually they'll get a taste of Jesus. And then yeah, they love Him more than they love you. But most times that's not the case with new believers. Am I right?
That's right.
Think about it. Yeah. I mean, most people will come because they know you, they like you, they think you dope, you dap them up, you saw them in quad, and you say, "Hey, what up? How you doing?" And then when you purposely say, "Hey, Impact's coming out, it's going on tonight. I would like you to be there." And usually I don't give people a chance to say I'm busy. I'm like, you ain't busy. Come out anyway, okay? And they're like, "Yeah, you right. I ain't busy." And then they come. Okay. So, but yeah, so you invite people out. Okay. So that's what I mean by target evangelism. You find a target, and don't just do like generic evangelism, but you be bold enough and be courageous and say, "Hey, come on out." And they'll say, "Okay, well, if if you did it, if you asked me to, then I'll come."
So Darnell, you're saying that students don't have to wait until they get training, teaching, equipping, and all of that to have an impact. Just who they are.
Yeah,
Just who they are.
Yes.
Opening your
Yeah.
mouth. You opening your mouth with someone. Just you being you, right?
Yep. That's all.
And
all
that's
that takes.
significant. That's significant. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Grover, thank you for saying that, because here's the thing: is that most people will always feel like they don't have enough, or they feel like they're not equipped enough. You're gonna feel like that all the time, but discipleship and evangelism is an art, not a science. So a science is a very exact thing. Step 1, step 2 is going to lead to step 3. Yeah, that's nice, but that's not how evangelism and discipleship works. Evangelism and discipleship works by doing it, by opening your mouth and allowing the Holy Spirit to come in and train you and teach you and give you a chance to fail and to grow and to it's an art. You get better the more you do it. And so I think that's one of the things I would love for you to get to, is that you guys learning that, hey, I don't have to be perfect. Hey, just opening my mouth, giving people a chance. Okay. So yeah, so things to consider is one-on-ones, returning students, one-on-ones, making one-on-ones a normal thing, and then returning students, and yeah, and just giving them a chance to help returning students get a chance to be involved with what you guys are doing. One of the negatives that I want to make sure you guys are aware is that burnout can happen. So make sure you're taking rest, taking care of yourself. Okay. Any questions about that piece? Oh, and then the national conference, I put that as a question. Like, you got to consider this national conference coming on if it's an off year. All right. All right. Next is the next season is January through March. With season 3 is community engagement. Community engagement is, again, now you're rolling. Now you're building like a missional community, a community based on the mission of Jesus. And so in community engagement, we're trying to do some things within here, like we're trying to continue with our Bible studies. We're learning to try to communicate with our with our local churches if we have them, and we want to make sure that people are completely, engaged, not just in, with us, but engaged with the community as a whole. We want to make sure that we're thinking about summer mission trips, because you should be getting those from your coaches. The dates and stuff like that. We start that early January. If there's a spring mission trip, we do that. And then and we start looking for leaders, because again, you're always thinking about replacing yourself. You're always thinking about replacing yourself. So and I'm looking for ILI registration and trying to get people all set up for that. All right. And of course, we're gonna do evangelism too. Okay. Yeah, things to consider. Again, ILI dates. Figure out what those are. Summer mission, our dates and budgets, and burnout. Burnout is still a real thing because you guys are busy, and church is crazy. I mean, not church, but like this is the meat of the semester, and the school year is getting kind of going on. Burnout can happen, so make sure you guys take a Sabbath or a rest. Quick question: does anyone have, out of curiosity, does any of you guys have not questions, but what do you guys typically do to rest or to recharge? What does it take for you to feel recharged? What do you do to recharge or to replenish yourself when you burn out, or when you feel like you're exhausted?
Personally, so I have to have my time to like recharge. And so I usually like journal, and I pray. I don't know, like I think just spending it with like God, just journaling, and kind of just flushing out like maybe anything like bad from like the week or something like that. I just kind of reflect.
Okay, who was that? I can't see. I can't see you. So who was that talking?
Oh, Anita from Keats.
Okay, all right, good stuff then. So you said you journal, you rest. Okay, cool. Who else? Anyone else? Is anyone familiar with the term Sabbath?
Yeah.
Okay, can someone tell me what it means, or what they've heard it mean? Sabbath. Let me grab this stuff. Be on our website, right? Yep. Sabbath is a day of rest. It's a day of rest that we see instituted by the Lord in Genesis chapter 2. We see Genesis 2 verse 1. We see that the Lord rested on the seventh day. He didn't rest because he was tired. He rested. One of the reasons he rested is he wanted to give humanity an example of what we need to do after you've done work. You want to sit. You want to rest and reflect. And a lot of us feel burnt out because Sabbath is not a normal thing that we do. We never can sit down on a regular basis or on a routine basis. Most people don't do that and learn how to my sister said she was she journaled and stuff like that. It's something that we don't really do. But we don't sit back, journal, we don't reflect, and we don't have it as a routine basis in our lives. One of the best things you can learn how to do is to learn how to Sabbath and to take care of and to rest, reflect, and then get recharged. It's one of the best things you can do. Okay. Community engagement. And then that should be season 4, which is going to take you to the end of the school year, which is planning. We're March through July. We're planning, and this is where we're at right now for our chapter. We planned it. We started planning in March. I'm sorry, in May for the fall. This is when we started appointing new leaders because we don't. Leadership is a privilege. Not a right. So people. Every year we have a new crop of leaders coming through. Again, ideally, like you should have a group of leaders always in the clip if you can. I said clip because there should be a point where you always have somebody locked and loaded and ready to thank you, ready to follow up behind you, to replace you. So that's kind of, we always have that, so we appoint new leaders. We do a sit back and we review the current year. We asking ourselves what went well, what didn't go well. And some, like, trust me, we have no sacred cows in our movement, so that means that everything is under review. At one point we were actually going to cancel all large group meetings, because they weren't super effective. And after we reviewed it, we looked back and we were asking ourselves, like, some of the things we asked during review was, did it align with our mission and vision and values, what we were doing, like, did we, were we evangelistic in our approach? Were we actually constantly, meeting up with people, and did evangelism continue to go on? Did people even enjoy it? We give reviews to our students, who came, at the end of the year. We have them review we make up a survey monkey, and we send it out to students. We do it at our last meeting, so everyone has to fill it out, and we'll just do a QR code on one of our large screens, and have people take a picture of it, and they fill out the review right then and there, and then that helps us to get a gauge on where we are when it comes to our culture, and then we start planning for the next year. We start planning based on those reviews. And we do again, evangelism doesn't stop. If you notice, it's the one thing that's been in all 4 seasons. All right, things to consider. Fall return. We got to look at some dates. We got to know when fall is coming back. We do summertime haziness. We got to realize that a lot of people fall off in the summer. I give you guys a lot of credit for joining these meetings, because every ministry leader's biggest fear is summer. Because students who got out of certain sin patterns or came to faith, they go home, and sometimes they go to some really bad situations. And some people who are they're just burnt out. They're just tired, and not just burn out from ministry, but burn out from school, burn out from life, and then they go out. And these are things we pray for, we pray about. Some people could have a really good spiritual situation here in at the university, but could be in a really bad situation when they go back home. And so, when it comes to church involvement and stuff like that, and so a lot of times in the summer, we'll work with students to find church homes in their city, and so, yeah, and that leads to our planning. That wraps up our planning piece. Okay. So that's the season of ministry right there. I do think that I'm gonna stop talking for a couple minutes and give you guys a chance to just kind of ask me some targeted questions. Some things that we did to help our campus, to help us serve our campus. Yeah, adults want to learn best by asking questions. So if y'all got questions, please ask away.
Hey, Darnell, I think for season 4, one thing I would add is just celebrate. You had mentioned that at the beginning of the year in season 1, but in season 4, to take time to celebrate graduating seniors, to celebrate new leaders, celebrate students going on summer mission, celebrate what God did that year, just really kind of galvanizes what God did throughout the year.
Yep. I agree. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's true. I would, celebrate. You guys should be celebrating more than grieving alone. Sometimes we just kind of we just keep going, and I'm like, man, every chance we get, we have a fall party, we have a Christmas party, we have a end of the year party, we have a welcome back party for the spring semester. We try to party as much as possible, and so so that people can feel like like this should be the normal part of the Christian experience, celebrating, and that's just something we don't do a lot of times within the Americanized Christian culture. So, thank you, Tony, for that. Appreciate it.
Hey, Darnell, I'm not looking at the notes right this minute, but a little bit about next year's leaders. Is that something in the spring that you introduce them, you know, maybe a celebration? Yeah.
You talking about like the new leaders who are coming in for the fall semester? How do we do it with
Yes.
them? You mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So with our new leaders, you know, like we so on our campus we have we have an interview process that we do. It's a two-part interview process where they got to fill out a application, and then they have to you know, go through a physical interview, you know, a face-to-face interview. And this year we did it over Zoom because of Corona. But but like that's one of the rhythms that we actually share, you know, that you know, one of the things we you know, we want to make sure that they know that one of the core values of our movement, but also, you know, like the things that were built up, you know, the core rhythms that we kind of express within our chapter. And one of the biggest key rhythms we have is celebration. So we lay out our rhythm, our spirit, we call them spiritual rhythms, you know, that we are, you know, like kind of like that we identify within the seasons. But some of our rhythms are celebration, resting, eating with people, because again, these are things that we do on a regular basis, uh, and we kind of lay these out and kind of encourage and equip people to make this as, this is just a regular part of life, you know. And so yeah, those things are, some things are, those things they catch when they see it, when they see us doing it. But yeah, and just so you know, guys, when it comes to this season of, like you see me talking about burnout happening, because again, I'm a grinder. Look, if y'all know me, well, you don't, many of y'all don't know me, but I'm the type that'll work 60 hours a week at my job, and then go on campus for 30 hours a week, and then just kind of keep going. I'll often go days, like today. Sorry, yesterday I forgot to eat until like 8 o'clock at night. Because I was just moving. I'm a worker. That's just what I do. I just go in and just get it done. And so sometimes I could do that with our students, where I'll just grind them, and they're like, Darnell, we're tired. That's why I put burnout on there often, because sometimes, again, if you're a student leader, that means you're driven. And so one thing that we do to mitigate that is that we do a 3-week work, 1 week off rotation on our campus. And so what I mean by that is this: is that we have we'll plan for 3 weeks of events, where we'll have an outreach event or a party, like we'll do Step It Up one weekend. In the beginning, we'll do ice cream social one weekend. We do a Step It Up event another week, and then the third week we'll just have like some kind of theological event where we're trying to like do a Bible study or something like that. 3 weeks in a row, 3 weekends in a row. But the fourth weekend, our student leaders are required to rest. That means that they do nothing impact related that weekend, And so we've been doing that for the last 3 years, and I've noticed that we've had a decrease in burnout when it comes to our students, where because now they've learned the importance of, there's a rhythm to resting now within our events, So we do 3 weeks in a row of outreach events or social events, and then we do 1 week where we just kind of we rest, And so what I've learned is that has led us to having a more healthy chapter. And if you guys have questions about that, please ask me how we do that.
I have a question. So, kind of going off of the beginning, you was talking about fundraising and raising money, to make sure we have expenses and stuff for our organization. So I know we're going to be moving online now. So the big question is, like, how does fundraising work? Like, and what are some ways that we can fundraise on our organizations, with the new rise of the pandemic and all the stuff that's going on?
Okay, can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Woo, I'm sorry about that. So I put you guys on driving mode and then muted me immediately. Sorry about that. Uh, so, so anyway, so one thing that we do on a consistent basis is that we keep contact with our new our recent graduates or people who have graduated within our movement on a continuous basis. And we have them give because it's a much easier ask because they know our movement, they know what we're about, and they were invested in our movement. Okay, that's one thing. We also you can also partner with local churches and ask them to give to you guys if and say and make sure that you have a clear like vision, like, hey, our chapters, our goal is to try to reach you know uh, you know two 300 black folks for Christ this semester. And so we'll do that, and we'll clearly let that church know that we what we're asking money for, like, and like the national conference this year, I started raising money in the spring, and not just me, my students did, and we started asking local churches to give, and they started partnering with us. Um, another thing that we do as far as like when it comes to online, I still, it's been a little harder with online because people are like, well, what am I giving to if you're not going to be in person, you know? So one thing that I've learned is that, again, I'm still raising for the national conference because I don't know if it's not going to be in person or so when I tell them about the national conference and that it still could be there, we're asking that they give to that, and people are they're usually willing to give, but you got to have a good, your vision has to be compelling, and your vision is usually the fact that you're reaching people who are first generation college students who don't know Jesus who may not know Jesus, and most people are willing to partner with something such as that. But Grover, Denise, Tony, if you guys got some more insight, that'd be great to speak to.
Yeah, those. I mean, I think alumni are good. Reaching out to alumni, local churches. So I know we benefited. Like I'm on staff with Crew, so our impact movement has benefited with our partnership with Crew. They've been very generous to give us some seed money, and there's kind of matching funds available and things like that.
Yeah, and by the way, we actually connect. We partner with our local Crew also, and we do a big benefit dinner every year with them. And we partner with the Cleveland Browns also. So our Crew and our impact uh, chapters partner together to raise money. Usually, whatever we raise, the Cleveland Browns will match it. That was a blessing that God did. God did it.
Also, remember the funds that are available to any organization from your school too. Check out that, because I make sure the students get that. And usually that's a couple $1,000s for the year.
Oh, you're right. Yes, yes. We have several campus. Thank you, Denise, for that, because most campus organizations has a certain amount of money set aside because within your tuition you pay for that kind of those things, and so we actually, our campus actually has the same thing, where students can get something called the Dennis Eckert Scholarship. Again, that's can't say unique, but they'll give you $400. Each student has the ability to get $400 one time while they're in college. And so mostly all of our students use that to go to the national conference. Anyone else got anything else they want to add to it?
Yeah, I would second the university. When I was a team leader with Crew at Indiana University, it was actually our impact movement that took the lead because they didn't have any money, but for the national conference, they would get $4,000 or $5,000 from the university to help offset the cost of a bus, and it was actually our Crew students took the lead from them. Like, wow, we didn't realize we could request that kind of funds, and so then our Crew movement started getting $4,000 or $5,000 for our fall retreat. But yeah, I would definitely have someone look into that. How are your university uses those student activity funds?
And just so you know, you pay tuition, so you pay into that. So you should have the right to those funds. That's a great question. Anyone else?
Do you, I know Impact asks us to collect like certain stats and kind of ministry measurements. Is there a way that you guys do that on your movements that's you find helpful? Or
Grover or Denise, you guys want to speak to that piece?
We always encourage the students to assign. We've tried various ways, like I'm sure you have, Tony. It's always a challenge to get the students to turn in those stats. We've tried some things that worked. We've given dinners away, kind of contests, make it a contest between the campuses in our region. The ones that get their stats in early enough, they get or dinner, or when it's a national conference or regional year or conference year, they get dinner on us at the national conference, that kind of thing, for their chapter. But you have to understand, when you think the importance of the information that we ask you to collect, is so that the ministry of the impact movement can continue. Whether that's through applying through grants and things like that, we have to prove, they want to see that we're doing and accomplishing what we say we're doing. So that information that we ask you to give on a semester basis and then a year end, it's really, really important for the continuance of the ministry of the impact movement. So if you assign someone, and I mean, you guys are creative, whether you set up something on your phone that gives you a reminder, send out a text to your chapter members, just think of ways that you can collect it and make it easy for you, so that you can turn those stats in to us. I don't know if Grover, you have something to add to that.
Yeah, it's just a difficult one. And, it could get to the point where it's connected with reporting, is connected with funding. We could say, we don't hear from you, then we're going to, not fund you from impact funds. We have some funds that we make available to chapters. But it is something that honors the Lord when you record and celebrate what he has done. That's honoring to the Lord.
And so some of those stats that we do collect, you can actually go to impactstats.com, I believe, impactchapter.com.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, if you go to impactchapter.com, the stats that they're asking you to enter, we usually do it per semester, and it's usually, we want to figure out, how many conversions were happening, how many people came to faith, how many people are actually actively involved in the chapter, and those things are super important, because some people, when they give money that, to your movement, they want to know, okay, well, is this an investment? They see it as an investment, and so based on the productivity of that movement, or they want to see if their money is working, and so based on that, those stats, then people will give accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus did that, right? He sent the 70 out 2 by 2, and they came back, reported to him, right? So it's a biblical thing that we do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you look at some of the goals of the impact movement, it aligns with that, our mission, vision, and values, our 10 values. How are your students doing in your chapter academically? That information we need to collect also. So there's some, in addition to the evangelistic items, we also need to know how the student is doing. because one of our values is to see our students graduate. And if they're struggling, you have students in your chapter struggling. What are you doing? How are you helping them? Do you have a study night, or some things that might be not the norm, if you will, for the chapter, but it's a need of the chapter?
Mr. Wilson, I've got a really quick question.
Okay, what's up?
Yeah, this is Rachel Ops right now. I know I'm not actually in a chapter anymore, but since I've graduated, but I do wonder if you could give any advice to relaunching campuses, the ones that are relaunching, because sometimes it's hard to get your feet stable. It's beautiful to see the example that Kent State and there are other campuses with large and very well functioning impact chapters. It sometimes can get very discouraging, and I'm speaking strictly from the experience at Texas State University, because that's the chapter that I was part of, and we're still trying to get our feet on the ground and continue consistently. We're just wondering if you have any advice to a relaunching campus.
Absolutely. So I just took one on 3 years ago. Cleveland State is that. So I have two campuses that I'm over. Kent State, which has been thriving for the last decade. And actually Kent State is one, started back in '98. And when I came to Kent State 10 years ago, we had 3 members, and and it was struggling. And when I met Tony, I was on year 2. So, and by that year, we had a pretty decent movement, but it was a lot of grind. And then this year we just, we tried to relaunch it at Cleveland State, because they died out back in 2013. They died out. And so we relaunched it back in 2017. And, it's been a whole generation roughly. And it has been a hard thing. It's been tough. I don't remember it being this hard. But I will say this though. Number one, I don't want to underestimate the power of prayer, because there's so much, and not saying that you aren't, but you need supernatural strength and a supernatural reserve built in to endure starting a chapter nowadays, because things are tough, and people aren't willing always to listen. So I mean, not listen, but willing to come, because our old motto is literally to build it and they'll come. And that's kind of what I did when I started Kent. We built something big, and we built something and people started coming, but I realized in the past 4 or 5 years that this just doesn't work anymore, because when I first started 10 years ago, everyone had a baseline understanding of Christianity. They still had some Christian values in them. Now in this generation now, that is not true. Again, this is the Midwest talking, so it may be very different in the South. But a lot of our students don't know who David and Goliath is, or if they do that, they've never really understood and understood it in a biblical sense, and they know it more culturally than biblically. And so like we had to reimagine what our ministry would look like on Cleveland State's campus, and so I'm not, it won't, I had to come to terms with the fact that it will not look like Kent State. It may not look like a big massive movement. It may not. And you got to be okay with the fact that number one, you cannot use other ministries as a gauge to see if you're effective and you're in the soil that you're on. Because sometimes your soil may be only to develop a certain, a size, a plot, but we are missionaries now. And so we got to be okay with the fact that, all right, our chapter may not look like IU's or Kent State's chapter or whatever. And it's, I'm learning, I'm living this myself, so God had to tell me, am I okay with the fact that it will not look like that, like like I want Rachel, but maybe I got Leah. You know what I mean? Maybe, you know, I want to have this beautiful thing that I think I should want, but maybe God has given me Leah. You know, thinking about the whole Joseph story, you know, a Jacob story, you know, like, am I okay with the fact that my ministry may not look like other people's? One. uh Number two, am I bathing my ministry in prayer? You know. Number three, look, as long as you know, like am I doing my best to establish just even small group Bible studies and one-on-ones with people? Because again, ministry in 2020 looked very different than it looked like in 2010. You know. And I think one of the biggest things that I'm learning now is this: is don't give up. You know, don't quit. You know. And if you can actually be okay with the fact that your ministry won't look like other people's, be okay with the fact that God has called you to this thing. Be okay with the fact, you know, like, and that's just something you're comfortable with. Then you know, I think you'll be in a good place. You know. I mean, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Just to
No, that's all I
encourage you,
got.
Rachel, to just have some conversations, just find out what the need is and start there. That first need might be just to have conversations. And then God will give you an opportunity to lead into those spiritual conversations. But sometimes you just meet like Jesus did right where they are. You need to, sometimes we're so gung-ho to give the gospel that we miss the opportunity just to have a conversation with someone. And so often that's where I've found just going on campus and not telling them initially I'm with Impact, just how you doing? How are you? How long you been here? Da, 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 that kind of thing, you know.
Yep.
Part of, I guess, part of what gives me an in is because I don't call myself old, I'm a seasoned adult. So especially with our students, for the most part, they are very respectful of people, of their elders. So they'll allow me to have a conversation with them, if you will, even if they don't necessarily like what I'm talking about. But you know, they give me a way in. They give me the opportunity, and then just hey, then they're relaxed, and then we can talk about the spiritual life. How are you? Especially in this climate, people are hurting. They don't know. They have no clue what to do. You know. So if you're on campus and you just, if you're at a campus where they're going back, just be there. Say hi. If you're in the cafeteria, you know, in student center, just say hi and have some conversation. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised out of those conversations how eventually you can have a movement or relaunch. Because I actually been trying to relaunch at Howard University over and over again. It seems like we'll get it up, and then we've had staff changes and things happen and go back to a student. Like Darnell was saying, students graduate, and now you have a new group that you're trying to connect with. So don't get weary in well-doing. That's all that I said. Encourage you. Don't get weary in well-doing. And just sometimes just have a hey girl conversation. How are you?
I would like to say, like when we're first beginning and just starting up and we're small, we have to understand that small is still powerful. Just because it's small doesn't mean you're incapable, doesn't mean you don't have all the resources, because God will provide those. So knowing that small is powerful, you don't have to be so large at first, but that God will supply our every need. And so he just been teaching me that, like, even though it's small, it's powerful. It's not how big you are to show how effective you are, but it's how you allow him to use you. So to build that foundation upon him, and don't try to like just make everything so big that you don't have a foundation and everything is just crumbling. But to have that foundation and to let it be small and to build it up.
Yeah, amen. And to add to that, the word tells us if we lift him up, he's going to draw men. So he does the drawing. Don't worry about that. You're available. You're a vessel. You said, I'm available, Lord. my heart's desire is that others will get to know you through, and what I want you to use me. And so don't be discouraged. Go up there. If it's you commit to 1 or 2 days a week to be on campus, be there. And as Darnell said, it is, oh my goodness, the power of prayer and having a prayer team, people that are praying for you and the work that you do is so critical, because God honors his prayers, his word, and you're walking in his word. He tells you to go, therefore, and make disciples. That's your heart's desire. He also tells us to share the truth and then allow him to do the work in the heart. He's the one that's going to turn the stony hearts into a heart of flesh. So we have to give him that opportunity by just being available. And definitely, like the young lady said, the size is on him and Darnell. The size is up to him. Because 2 or 3 can take and change the campus. You reach 2 or 3, and just kind of imagine they reach 2 or 3. The multiplying, that's the factor. It works. Okay.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I hope that did help you, Rachel. Thanks for everyone who gave in. You know. By the way, I shared two versions of our contact cards in the group chat. Can you guys all see them? Can everyone click on them and take a look at them? All right, that's just what those 2 versions that we use. And if you guys are interested in learning about the spiritual rhythms and things, we have a lot of different tools that we use, but the biggest thing is be faithful. Be faithful. The Lord is more than willing to, he'll follow through with the effort that you're tilling in, and like I said, just because a movement isn't massive doesn't mean it's not effective or impactful. That was Kent for a long time. Kent was a handful of people, and then I don't know what happened. The Lord was faithful about year 8, year 7, year 8, and then it just kind of like don't know what happened. Really did, but it was faithful ground. We were faithful year in, year out. I was up there 3 days a week. And I was working as a nurse, working night shift, and I would get off work at 7 a.m. and go on 7:30 in the morning, go on campus for a couple hours before I went to bed, and just to kind of like reach out to people and be, again, I was just being obedient to what I felt God had called me to do. And I think that your biggest thing is be obedient to the things that God had called you to do. But also, you need people. Go ahead, Tony. You raise your hand.
I'm a few years removed from the Midwest, so I don't know what the culture is now. But one of the things, and I know there's a lot of Texas schools on here, but one of the things that I watched starting to get involved with the Impact movement, and it was something that I had not experienced in my years up to that point. And it started with Kent State. And I remember the students, because we would go to a national conference, and it was kind of like you'd connect with the students that you knew on your campus. Even my first couple of ILIs, it still felt like we were these separate schools. But then the Kent State movement initiated a group of them just coming to visit Indiana University.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
I mean, it was, maybe 10 students that came. There was no agenda. I think they still did an afternoon outreach. I think they went door to door, like talking with people in the neighborhood, but really no agenda. And that set a trend of connection that then Indiana was like, okay, well, wait, we're going to come visit you. And then, and then it was like, hey, fall retreat. Why don't, Kent State, why don't we just host fall retreat on our campus? And then that set a trend of like, then Indiana University hosted a fall retreat, and then Michigan State hosted a fall retreat.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And it became like, so then the ILI National Conference became reunions. And it really started with a simple, just reaching out, one chapter, just reaching out to another chapter. Again, I mean, this is a 5-hour drive. I know you guys are spread out in Texas, but that was something that I hadn't, honestly, was not in my thinking or rhythms as a campus minister that, oh yeah, we should just take a bunch of student leaders and go hang out with another chapter. But it really did, I think, created a momentum in the Midwest that you began to see some of these large, 90 students at IU, 100 students at Illinois State. I know you guys grew rapidly, but a lot of that, I think, there was just that sense of community, and you knew that there was people in this at other schools. So.
Tony, I totally forgot about that. You're right, because we did that year 2. My second year on campus. No, year 3, year 2, 3. It was in 2012. We came up there, and it's because of Rose and Penny and all those people. And then you're right. It started a trend because all of our campuses in the Midwest were struggling heavily because IU wasn't that large at all.
I mean, we had our 20, 30 students involved. So
yeah, and Kent had about 15, 20 students. And then we went to a fall retreat in Cincinnati one year, and then we made some connections. And I said, "Hey, let's go to IU because I nothing connects students about like a road trip, And so we just took a handful of people over to IU, and then it led to a explosion and we're still benefiting from that to this day, I believe, because all the chapters that connected that year, are still benefiting from that. Ball State was struggling at one point. Well, now Ball State has about 100 some odd people there. You're shocked at the power of, if you guys are in driving distance, and for me, driving distance is anything less than 10 hours, then then you need to do
North
that.
Carolina. So.
Actually, I'll be there soon. I may do that. I'm a little too old. I'm a little too seasoned to do that now. All right. Anyway, but that's all I got for that, guys.
All right, so I can send the link to the general session that's going to be convening at 3:15, 2:15 Central. I believe that's at that time, correct? And the password is general. Go ahead and put that in there now. All caps. And the ID. This was a very successful meeting, all of you guys. Thank you so much for Mr. Wilson. Thank you so much for Mr. Tony, Ms. Denise, Mr. Grover, everybody who came and offered insight about their campuses. And you guys just have a great rest of your sessions. I think there's one more with Mr. Jimmy, correct?
Yeah, from the general, yes. Then there'll be the commissioning.
Woo. All right, y'all.
Hey, by the way, guys, if y'all want to get a hold of me any kind of way, I'm free to talk whenever. Find me on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, on Facebook, Darnell J. Wilson, and I'll respond to you. But to Texas to connect, because y'all got so many people down there, y'all can do some damage. Y'all need each other. Mm-hmm. Okay, so next time I talk to y'all, this time next year, I expect to see God moving tremendously in Texas. All right, and then I'm gonna come down there. Okay, so love y'all. We'll be holla.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.